You're good to begin.
It's 7:01 and I'm going to call the council meeting for December 8th to order. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'd like to add a couple of late items.
Is that before we adopt the agenda or after?
No, your introduction of late items next. So
Okay, so introduction of light items, Lillian, go ahead.
Scott, sorry. RCMP detachment. I'm hoping that he's on now. And I just had a couple of questions about taxes that I'd like to talk to staff about.
Okay, that'll be under the, which section is that under again? It's
You could do it 10.4.
10.4. Okay.
And do we have an update on the building bylaw in this meeting? Leslie?
Under 6.2, Ron Dickinson will speak to that.
Okay, I don't want to open too many things. My connection is very fragile right now, so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda as amended? Councilor Hay.
Councilor Hay, up again, amended.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So we're on to number 3, delegations. So Sergeant Clay, the floor is yours.
You should be able to unmute now, Sergeant Clay.
Yeah, just got it. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor and Council, for allowing me to appear virtually in front of you guys today. It's been a while since we've had a chance to do this. Just to give you guys a brief update of where we are at as the Lytton Lillooet Amalgamated RCMP detachment. Recently, we welcomed one new member into the community of Lytton to work out of our Lytton detachment. So Constable Brandon Tucker and his wife arrived in the community, I believe 2 weeks ago, and they are living in the 3rd of our staff houses up on Loring Way. Constable Tucker's primary role in the office is going to be as the liaison to Siska, Scuppa, Kanaka, and LFN. But that being said, he is looping into regular general duty policing, servicing the entire community. The community in our service area has been pretty cut up again with the flooding there a couple weeks ago. Knocked out our access to Nickaman, Cooks Ferry, and Spence's Bridge. So what we've done as an interim basis is we've moved those 3 communities out of our primary area of responsibility in Lytton, and we've downloaded initial police response and follow-up to the Ashcroft detachment. This is a short-term solution to ensure adequate and prompt coverage to those communities. It is not a long-term or permanent change to the office. So we are not losing detachment area and thereby not losing positions or members that would be staffed into the Lytton area. This is just a short-term fix to ensure that those 3 communities still get prompt, effective policing services. Policing within Lytton, we haven't had a great demand on our police officers. There hasn't been a high volume of calls. Typically what we've been seeing the last 2 months, I suppose, is more just driving complaints. The occasional noise complaint, and then just, requests for assistance from MCFD, probation, and 7 family services. We have not had any kind of spikes or really anything related to property crime or persons crimes within the Lytton detachment area. We're still running the majority of our administration out of Lillooet. The plans are still in motion to lease the old St. George's Hospital site off of LFN. We're just waiting on conveyancing of that property from the province to LFN. I spoke with their lands last week, and they were going to follow up with their legal counsel to see where that was at. We're ready to go and move our portable detachment and bunkhouse down as soon as that lease is signed. And that still is the primary location we're going to use. Coming into Christmas, I'm anticipating now we probably won't see that detachment and the structures move down until probably the middle to end of January now. But I am working with RCMP Property Management, Leasing, and ATCO Structures, who we're leasing the property off of and who's going to move it for us there, to make sure that things don't get derailed. Once that property is signed over to LFN, the lease is signed with the RCMP, I want to get those structures moved so that we have a physical footprint and a physical presence back in the community. With our staffing, with the 3 members we have there right now, there's still 2 positions left vacant. And those positions were going to be staffed temporarily out of Cache Creek or Ashcroft just for a housing, just for ease of housing for the foreseeable future. We've had no movement on those positions, basically because we just haven't had the applications or the interest from people wanting to move into those 2 positions. That being said, we are working with human resources with the RCMP and actively recruiting to try to get those positions filled. I would like by the summer to have 5 police officers attached to the Lytton detachment area servicing all of our communities, be it they live in Lytton or live in Ashcroft and service the North End. So that's going to be the priority coming in after Christmas. As far as the integration with the Lillooet office, it seems to have gone pretty good. We've worked out most of the kinks, I think, with the scheduling, with the administration, with kind of the house, back of the house type stuff. And I'm not seeing, I guess, an issue popping up here right now. We've been trying to run it as such that it's one big happy family unit that covers a very wide area. One of my constables pointed out to me 2 weeks ago that we now cover 12,000 square kilometers of the province with the 2 detachments. So, but we're tweaking the schedule pretty much every week to make sure that we have it optimized so that we have good coverage. Haven't had any negative feedback on time delays yet for police officers arriving for calls for service, but we are monitoring and watching that. So with that, I'll take any questions. If you guys want any clarification on stuff, just let me know.
Any questions, Councillor Gray?
Sorry, no, I'm good, thank you.
Thank you, Sergeant Clay, for the report. I can assure you that the transfer of the land is not due to the village, as we signed the papers back in June, I believe it was, the beginning of June. So.
Well, I'm going to follow up with LFN here. I'm going to try to do it this week. I'm actually up in Williams Lake right now, just trying to get my move sorted out so I can actually formally move into my house in Lillooet and have my own stuff again. So once I get the stuff on the truck tomorrow, LFN will be on my call sheet to try to get this ball rolling, because I'd hope to have this office in place for December 1st. You know, I'm in overtime now, and I don't want to spend a lot of time in overtime.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
So we're on to public comment.
Members of the public are now invited to comment on matters related to the agenda for up to 2 minutes. If you would like to speak today, please use the raise hand function on Zoom. You can find that by clicking on reactions at the bottom of your screen and then clicking raise hand. When it's your turn, I'll read your name and we'll ask you to unmute yourself. You'll get a pop-up on your screen asking to unmute, so you just have to click that. You'll have 2 minutes to speak and I'll give you a 30-second warning. At the end of the 2 minutes, your microphone will be automatically disabled. So if you'd like to speak today, please raise your hand. And our first speaker today will be Noni McCann, sorry. And I'm gonna ask you to unmute now.
Hi, everyone. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I want to first of all tell you that I cannot hear a single word you're saying tonight. So if I can never tell you that in the chat, but I can tell you that right now, that whatever you're saying, Jan, there's something going on with your microphone tonight and it's really, really distorted and hard to hear. So I'll do my best to be clear myself, but if there's any way you guys can work on that, it would be most appreciated. Last week, I talked to you about our Lighting Up Lytton project, and I'd like to assure you that we're still going ahead with that. It might look a little different than we had originally proposed because other people are joining in. Tonight, I wanted to let you know about the AG Foods decision to support the Village of Lytton with 500 food hampers to be delivered to our community on Monday, the 13th of December. I wanted to invite you two who are here in Lytton, Mayor and Councilman, to join us at Stein Valley School from 10:30 on Monday to help us unload, load, and pack up and arrange all of the logistics for delivering these wonderful gifts from the AG Foods and the Choi family to the members of our community. So I just wanted to extend an invitation to you tonight to do that if you're around Lytton on Monday. And we really appreciate your support and your help. And also just to mention it to anyone else who might be listening to the meeting tonight, that all volunteers are most welcome to come to Stein Valley School
You have 30
and
seconds.
give us a hand on Monday. So thank you for that, and I hope the sound issues get repaired.
I'll sit closer to the microphone.
Thank you for your comments. If anybody else would like to speak today, please use the raise hand function on Zoom. I'll just wait another 15 seconds in case, and you can find that under reactions at the bottom of your screen.
Just so council knows, I don't think it's about sitting closer. It's just a bad connection. I was having a lot of trouble hearing as well. So it's not good internet tonight.
Okay.
I'm not seeing any more comments or any more raised hands, so that completes the public comment portion of the meeting. Yes.
We're on to the next one. Adoptions of the minutes of the regular council meeting for December 1st. Can I get a motion to adopt the minutes?
Counselor Hay, I'll make the motion.
A seconder?
I'll second.
Thank you. Are there any corrections to the minutes?
I think there was one. I'm just looking for it right now. 1 second. Just under the introduction for the from Bob Deeks, there was a small notation on the fourth to last bullet point, where it says, as a community, Lytton has an opportunity to choose any step up to step 3. Actually, that should just be any step.
Are there any other corrections? All in favor of adopting the minutes as amended?
Aye.
Thank you. So we're on to business arising. So we're on to 6.2 unfinished business, the building bylaw public engagement plan. So the floor is to Mr. Ron Dickinson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, the plan is not very complex, really. The best practice for building bylaw adoption is to have 2 public meetings. One where we talk about the existing bylaw and compare it to the changes that are going to occur as a result of the proposed bylaw. So give a general overview of what council's intentions are with the proposed bylaw, look at where we are today with the existing bylaw, and then offer opportunities for public input at that point, probably to some sort of either electronic or paper input rather in this environment with Zoom and everything. But it's important to get the input and see what they're thinking. After that, later on, before the final reading of the bylaw, one more public meeting just to advise the public that this is the bylaw that we're going to adopt, and it's going to be adopted on an X date. And the council then will choose to adopt it or not. So that's the strategy for putting it forward, putting it to council. There's all the other issues, of course, of deciding what it exactly says and how we tweak the wording and do the other appropriate things. At the end of the day, the final bylaw before it's adopted by council will be reviewed by legal team, and so that it meets all those standards, and of course by council to make sure that it is what they intended to say. So by the time those 2 things get together, we'll have a competent and complete bylaw that we can adopt.
Is there any questions?
Yeah, how long are you looking at this taking, Mr. Dickinson?
I don't have a timeline on it. We can fit it into a timeline of whatever nature council decides, in that there's no prescribed time spaces or public hearing spaces like you might expect with a zoning type bylaw. It's not a prescribed outcome, so it's really a decision that council can make. The timing is.
Okay, I'm just a little concerned about time because anyone who is rebuilding with an insurance company has a time limit on when they can actually get that done. So we seem to be running into a lot of delays. Obviously, I'm not even sure if we're going to have any building happening next year, the way things have been going. So I'm just concerned that any more delays with the building bylaw or getting permits out is going to put a lot of pressure on our residents that they are already dealing with. So is it possible to say that this could be done by end of January?
Yes, I have no reason to say otherwise than that. If council wants to make the time to have the meetings and get it in front of the public, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Matusi?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. Really depends on how much public process council wants. I mean, if council wants to adopt the bylaw, then I think Mr. Dickinson has outlined the fact that you could take the bylaw that you have, bring it forward, follow that process he talked about, and have a new bylaw. If you want I think the process that council agreed to was to take it to the Citizens Advisory Group, have some public comment before it's actually tabled as a final bylaw, so that there's a venue for people to understand it. But that's not a statutory requirement. That's just, council inviting the public in. So it's really up to the council how much public process they want or don't to go through the process.
Thank you. Questions? Okay, so we're on to Chief Administrative Officer Recovery Plan updates.
So we're going to defer to Allison Post to provide that update. Thank you, Allison.
Thank you, everyone, and good evening. I'm just bringing that up here. And I do have a couple updates per the from the agenda package, and I will be providing, a more fulsome update at the community town hall as well tomorrow evening. With regards to the safe return and re-entry, on the debris removal process, I know I don't want to put Ron Dickinson on the spot, but I know that he's been in attendance at the Heritage Management Committee meetings discussing debris removal. So I'm not sure, Ron, did you want to speak at all to that? Sorry for putting you on the spot.
No, that's true. I've been at a couple of meetings and have got a bit of a handle on it. And it looks like fairly firmly established that there's going to be a three-phase approach to the debris removal, which addresses interests or concerns of the Ministry of Environment, the architect or the archaeological branch, and of course, just the interests of the people, the landowners and the village. So the first phase is really nothing more than scratching the surface virtually. The Ministry of Environment is going to determine how deep, if at all, the contaminated materials from the result of the fire have leached into the soil. And once we determine that depth, then first phase will be to have monitors from the related to the archaeological interests monitor the removal of that depth of soil, and that soil will then be considered contaminated waste and hauled away to, and that's another whole issue. Where it's going is something I don't have a direct answer about that at this time. And immediately prior to that, I'm sorry, but go back and forth a bit, but immediately prior to that, they're actually going to get in there and take away the metal debris that is virtually laying on the ground and propped up against the remains of buildings and that sort of thing. So that will be out of the way. Then the debris removal of the dirt that I talked about in phase one. And then phase two will be a little bit broader removal process of other waste. And finally, phase three will be where we actually start digging holes, removing foundation removal or remains and other debris that's in there that requires holes to be dug. And that's a longer term or more intense scrutiny by the monitors and the Ministry of Environment or Ministry or archaeological branch interests are much deeper in that kind of a situation. So the timelines on that I don't have, but that's how we intend to deal with it. Remove the metal that's laying around, 3 phases to follow. And my hope is, and we've talked about this, and I think it's going to come to pass, that when we get to the 3rd phase, we're actually got the big equipment in there digging holes, we'll actually move to placing foundations if at that point. We want to be ready to place foundations. So we're in the process now of trying to figure out how we can get a hold of everybody. Because in order to do that, they're going to have to make decisions about what their buildings are going to be, get a plan, and actually do that work. So that's where we are. It's still in flux, but it's a fairly rigid view of it as close as we can get to a final picture at this time.
Thank you so much, Ron. Really appreciate that. So moving on, we have the again, related to safe return and reentry. We're getting closer to the lifting or the downgrading of the DNC order. We expect the water testing results to be here by the end of the week, and we'll be able to provide further information on that as those results come back. So we're hoping for good news there. With respect to the water infrastructure, we have received a report from Mr. Mundell with regards to mitigation and repair of the intake that was damaged during the atmospheric river event. We are just working on getting the proper approvals in place to complete that work. Interim housing, again, there's unfortunately not much we can do without getting a real handle on the debris removal process. So we are working on that. We also need to do a review of the housing survey that was done by EMBC. I did receive that information, but in looking at it this week, it was incomplete, unfortunately. So I have to go back to EMBC and get that full data set. The Resiliency Center is up and running, and we're very, very happy about that. It seems to be a great success and a great community hub. There will be a number of folks there watching the town hall who don't have strong access to computers or things like that for the town hall tomorrow evening. We have posted 3 positions, but one for comms support, one for administrative support, and an economic development officer position. We're emphasizing that we want to hire locally, if at all possible. So we really, really encourage folks to apply for that. We're also recruiting for the Unmet Needs Committee, which is the terms of reference were passed by council last council meeting. So the deadline to apply to that committee is December 15th, and the other job postings are available on the Village of Lytton website. Ron Dickinson spoke to the bylaw regulation, and I believe that is, the Citizens Advisory Committee did hold a meeting. The next meeting will be held on December 15th. And I think that concludes my recovery plan update.
Is there any questions?
Councillor Hay. It's just a thing that's been passing through my mind that we're only getting a certain amount of people attending our meetings in that Zoom. Is there a way through your program, Allison, that you can get a room set up in Kamloops, Hope, and Merritt where people who do not have access to these meetings can go? So sit in like an auditorium and we can start getting, instead of 25 and 30, we can probably have 100 to 150 and get the, we've been, let me use the word, I'm sorry, we've been chastised for not getting out to our people. And the chance would be to set those rooms up in those places, and then people could drop in if they so desired.
I think that's a very good point, that there are those in those communities, Kamloops and Merritt and Camp Hope, that may not have access to technology to view, council meetings and updates and town hall meetings, for sure. Absolutely. I think, it's probably unfortunately too late for tomorrow's meeting to set up those auditoriums and things, but I can certainly take that away and try and work on something for the next town hall meeting. But thank you for bringing that forward.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions?
I just had a quick question about the hires. I was looking at the recovery report in the agenda and it mentions assistance for the executives. Is that? I just want to make sure I understand. It says hire admin support resources for the executive team members. So are the executive team members getting assistance, or what does that mean exactly?
When I refer to executive team members, I was referring to the CAO, the CFO, Ron Matuzzi, and myself. So the support for the executive team would be that. Does that answer your question? To date, there has been no admin support.
No, so what I'm asking is the admin support position that you posted, is that to help Sam and Angela, or is that someone to help you guys?
I believe it's to the primary function will be to help the leadership team.
Okay, so when are we going to be looking at getting someone in to help Sam and Angela with all the data rebuild?
Mr. Hawes. Thanks, Mayor. Councillor Gray, we've got MMP and Miniware working on the financial rebuild, and it's due to be completed on Friday. And pressing hard to make that happen, of course, with today's events and your internet outage and so on. Hopefully we're still there, but it's due to be completed on Friday.
Okay, and that's just the financial side. What about everything else? Just general information that has to be attempted to recover.
So that would, Mr. Mayor, it's CAO Gru speaking. That would be Shannon Story, who's working on the corporate rebuild. Is that what you're referencing for the record?
Well, I was just thinking more along the lines of generalized paperwork that, you know, every government office generates. And I understand that it's just Sam and Angela who have been working on the complete data rebuild, which is, I'm sure, more than just finances. So is everything going to be complete by Friday? Is that what we're looking at?
So my understanding is their role actually has been to work with the finance officer. The other administrative paperwork is I'm gathering together what I can get working with Shannon's Story, and I'm filling in those gaps right now. If we could chat offline so I could get a better understanding of what you're referencing, then that would be great.
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. No further questions. We'll move on to the Chief Financial Officer. That the council adopts and that executes a resolution appointing the mayor, councillors Ian Hay and Lillian Gray, and the finance officer, Terry Hawes, to be a signing authority for the MFA, and the two signatures are required to execute any transaction, one from council and the other from the CFO. Will someone make the motion?
Councillor Hay, I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Is there any, Mr. Hawes?
I'll just briefly add to my report, Worship, and that this is similar to what we did a couple of meetings ago in terms of getting this signing authorities updated with our bank. And so, you know, with the departure of one person and our CAO on leave, we have to have appropriate signing authorities in place.
Thank you. Is there any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We're on to 7.3, the corporate officer. CAO.
Thank you. I'll just briefly explain that under the section 127 of the community charter, you are required to adopt a calendar for the coming year and by the end of the year. The council procedure bylaw, I believe, says by January 15th. However, the community charter would supersede that. So I put before you a committee meeting schedule. I realize it looks a little bit scant. So it's got the Citizen Advisory Committee on it, the Leadership and Policy Committee, and regular council. Then I would like to point out for council's reference, I've also added like the LGLA Leadership Forum in Richmond, which is in February. The SILGA Convention in Salmon Arm in April, UBCM in September. So those are important things that political elected officials usually attend. So you can think ahead of time if you might want to attend those. And if you do want to, you can let myself know, and I'll make sure that you get rooms booked and your conference fee covered.
Thank you. Counselor Hay,
I'll make a motion that we accept the Village of Lytton 2022 Council Committee meeting schedule as presented.
do I have a seconder?
I'll second, and I also have a question.
Go ahead.
CIA Gru, do you know if the LGLA, SILGA and UBCM will be offered virtually this year?
At this point, it looks like they're actually trying to do them in person, but I can check that for you.
Counselor Hay,
Councilor Hay, September, we've got a regular council meeting on the 14th, and usually with the UBCM in Whistler, we usually cancel that meeting. There won't be anybody here.
Okay. Another one that,
The 14th of,
yep. September 14th.
yeah, 14th September.
Another one that council does usually look at whether they're gonna do full scheduled meetings in July and August. Sometimes you do a bit of a break.
generally we schedule them, and if we don't have business, we'll cancel them.
Okay, that's great. And then you'll note that the municipal election is on October 15th. And the inaugural meeting for swearing in a new council is on November the 9th.
Right.
Councilor Hay, 28th of December. I find it, I find it interesting that we'll do that. The new council should decide whether they're gonna have one on the 28th of December or not. Would that be okay?
You don't have one scheduled.
You don't have one scheduled at all for
Oh,
December,
no, I don't know.
so I think it should be scheduled the 28th.
If you want to do that, you can, or you can,
I'm just saying, a new council comes in and wants it, they're gonna have to.
Yep.
That's it, they can take it out.
sure, we can put it in, yeah.
Yeah, thanks very much. Appreciate
Okay,
it.
no problem.
Sorry to be a thorn in your side.
Oh, no, not at all.
Is there any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So we're on to Public Works. There's a water recovery update report, and Peter Coxon will speak to that.
Oh, actually, he's not here.
He's not here.
No.
Okay, so we'll take that out.
I will update the folks that the intake should be getting cleaned out as of today. Yesterday, we provided direction to Mr. Mondell to go ahead and do the clean out of the debris from the atmospheric river that happened like November 16th or 17th-ish.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Hay?
This is an unfair question. Can we get, I know the intake is for rocks. Was there any damage done to the dam, and is it being fixed? So I haven't had a chance, it's an unfair question. Could you find out the answer for us,
I can find that out for you.
please? Thank you. Sorry, but rocks don't bounce around without causing damage to cement.
Yeah, I would make the assumption that Mr. Mondell would have addressed that in his
Okay.
report, but I'll definitely look that up and then forward that to council.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
So we're on to bylaws, policies, and resolutions. The council procedure amendment bylaw. Would you like to speak to that?
Sure. So last week we had a staff report brought before council regarding just a minor amendment at this point in time on the procedure bylaw to ensure that council can hold meetings without having to have your presiding member and another council member in the room. That was updated, and so today, you did the 3 readings last week, so today you just need to adopt the amendments to the procedure bylaw as I spoke.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
I just have one,
Uh,
sorry. Under 9.1 city business and the number, it's the number of members. It's basically the second to last line there. Should that not be and or the number of members able to attend in the meeting in person?
Oh, 9.1, sorry, okay. Councilor Ray, can you point that out to me again? Sorry.
Sure, it's 9.1, the second to last line, where it says health, safety, environmental, or urgent city business, and the number of members able to attend. Should that not actually read and or the number of members able to attend in the meeting in person?
Too bad Miss Story wasn't here, but yeah, no, it's either has to be and or it has to be or. So can I clarify that? And that would be considered a typo anyways in this situation?
Yeah, I think it would be a typo just because
Yeah.
if you're offering a selection of items, you wouldn't have and the number, you'd have and or the number.
Yes, okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay. So can I get a motion to adopt the council procedure amendment bylaw 707?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a seconder?
Counselor Hay, second the motion.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So we're on to incoming correspondence for action. A letter of support for the Gold Countries Community Societies for their Geo Tour 150 Immemorial Grant Program.
Is that page 25?
Yes,
Yeah,
I have a question.
Councilor Hay.
The letter seems to be addressed to Chief Janet Webster and her council.
yeah, they actually sent it to you as well. And it doesn't have a CC on it. You're right, so you're right about that. They did send it to the CAO at Lytton.ca to put on the council's agenda. We can leave it as is.
Sorry, I don't have a problem with the motion for it, but I would like her to resend that letter to us addressed to the mayor and council.
I can go back to them and ask them to do that. Yeah.
So I'll make a motion. We do it once the new letter is received.
Do I have a seconder? I'll second the motion.
Can you not hear me?
No, I didn't hear you.
Okay,
Did you second the motion?
I did.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Remove me and. Okay, is there any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor of writing a letter of support?
Aye.
Thank you. We have a correspondence list. Is there any action to be taken on those?
No, it's just information. Right?
Information only. Can I get a motion to receive and file? Or do I need that for the correspondence list? Yes.
Counselor Hay, make a
But
motion. Correspondence.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Gray. Do I have a second to Councillor Hay?
Counselor Hale, second the motion.
Is there any further
Could
discussion?
we also ask staff to send a thank you letter to North Saanich?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
So on the thank yous, we're actually compiling a list of donations that you've gotten from municipal governments. And we will send out a thank you from mayor and council to all of those folks. Because there's more than this one that has come in.
Yes.
Would it be also possible for us to send a letter of support to the mayor and council of Abbotsford? They're currently going through what we went through in June, so maybe, letting them know we're here.
Yeah, we'll do that as a separate motion.
Okay,
So the motion on is to receive and file the correspondence list.
I'll motion.
All in favor? Yeah, okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So can I get a motion to send the District of North Saanich a thank you letter?
I'll make a motion that the District of North Saanich be added to our list of donators for one letter to go from mayor and council at a later date.
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Now the one to Abbotsford.
Oh, can we get a motion to do the letter to Abbotsford? A letter of support.
I'll motion.
Do I have a seconder?
Councillor Hay, I'll second the motion.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So, my report, I'd like to start off with by thanking the women that are manning the Resiliency Center in Lytton. I visited them a couple of times and they're doing an outstanding job. I was also involved in attempting to get our water system back up and running. And the usual phone calls and other items that come my way, I've dealt with those. And the matters that I was dealing with was the house from Nexie that we needed to get a commitment from. And that's my report. Councillor Hay.
Nothing to report.
Councillor Gray.
Yeah, so I don't really have anything to report, but I did have a couple of things I wanted to talk to council about. Back in July, we talked about working cooperatively with the insurance companies and contractors and service providers and everything to get the town rebuilt. And we seem to have not just wandered off from that concept and idea, but completely ignored it. And I'm just wondering, are we going to get back to that? Are we going to get back to working as a community to get the town built? Or are we just going to sort of let everybody stagger along and figure it out on their own? That's kind of what I'm seeing right now. And I'm very disappointed that we aren't working together more on this. There's a lot of building that has to happen. And it's not just people who are insured or uninsured. There's businesses that have to be rebuilt. The town, we have to rebuild our own buildings. So why are we not looking at a cooperative model on this? Anyone?
Mr. Matusi.
I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about, Councilor Gray.
That's why I wasn't asking you, I was asking council.
Well, thank you. I'll put it back to the mayor then.
I do not see it that we have strayed from working with all parties to get this done as quick as possible.
So you don't think that we're not, I was told when I asked about doing an integrated design project at the last meeting that the insurance companies would be taking care of everything, but almost half of our population doesn't have insurance. And we had talked about this, about working directly with the insurance companies to build the town. So how are we working with them if I'm being told, oh, they're going to handle it themselves? That just doesn't make any sense.
Counselor Hay, maybe I can all answer from my personal perspective. Personally, I know nothing about house insurance. Personally, I know nothing about debris removal. Personally, I know absolutely nothing about building a house. And I would much rather leave that to the experts who know what they're doing than me personally putting my nose into a place to maybe open up a can of worms that's gonna cause more damage than good. That's just my own personal view of it.
This isn't about interfering. It's about bringing people to the table so that they can work cooperatively. Having a meeting is not interfering. Talking to IBC or the representatives of the insurance companies and saying, this is how we want the town to go. This is what our citizens want. That's not interfering. That's working in a cooperative environment.
I'm not sure that when you tell anybody what to do, you're actually being cooperative.
Sorry, you're cutting out. All I got was the last word out of that.
The insurance companies deal with their policyholders on the buildings they've insured. And that is a matter between the policyholders and the insurance company.
Okay, let's set aside the people who are insured. What about the people who aren't insured? What's going to happen with them? We said that we would help them. What's happening? Are we just going to say, sorry, is the province going to do it? Is anyone going to talk to anybody about anything? Or are we just going to assume that everybody else is doing their thing and making it happen? Is that how we're going to approach this?
Mayor Alderman, if I may, even though I'm just new on the scene, so I'll apologize for that, excuse me. But we are having conversations with the provincial government and other folks about how we can move forward, keeping in mind that there are people that were uninsured and may not have the ability to rebuild to the standard that the potential new bylaw would be. So we are in discussions, but those aren't things that we can put out into the public at this point. We will do some sort of a memo that we'll get out to council on that stuff. That will also be included in the short-term recovery plan that's being updated weekly for you. I hope that helps a bit. We do recognize that we are trying to move things along quicker. There's every corner there's a challenge or a barrier that comes up that we're trying to work through. I know that doesn't help your question, but
it helps somewhat. What I'm just concerned about is that there seems to be a disconnect between residents, what's actually going to happen and what they think is going to happen and what council is making promises about and actually doing. So I get it. It's government and everybody has their thing to do. Everybody's got a job, but you know what? We have had an unprecedented event and we need to think about this in a different way. We need to come together and work together to rebuild the town. We can't just sit back and say, oh, somebody else is going to handle it. There has to be some form of communication. There has to be. If we don't talk to the people who are building, how do they know what we want? How do we know what they're doing? How does anyone know what's going on? Do the residents know that there's a time limit for them? If, what
Yeah,
happens if nothing,
Actually, Lillian, when I spoke with the insurance companies, they said that the 2-year time limit is something that they imposed, what they say to their policyholders in order to get them to make decisions. And when I spoke with Aaron Sutherland, he said that in this particular situations that the likelihood, he couldn't guarantee it is that they will extend that 2-year time frame.
well, I would like to see that in writing because we got a
So would
deadline
I.
from our insurance company. And you know what they're
There's a
like.
telephone this morning.
Yes.
Did we ever request a MIVA for our bylaws?
We were on the phone with the province this morning and we're sorting that out. So we are sorting that out with the province.
Councilor
All right.
Hay again. Councilor Gray, could you, sorry, I'm a bit lost. Would you be kind enough to put down what you envision on a piece of paper and get it to council so I could have a look at it? And then I would be able to honestly tell you what I think I'd be able to contribute and what I would feel inept with.
Sure.
Thank you.
That's it for me.
Thank you. So reports from committees of councils and commissions. Citizens Advisory Committee. We need to appoint a new chair, so that committee will have to choose a new chairman, I assume.
Yes.
Yes.
Mayor Pullman, can I
Yes.
just back you up a little bit to the, back to your 10-1? We have your acting mayor schedule.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Okay. We'll go back to 10-1, the acting mayor schedule.
So section 130 of the community charter states the council must, in accordance with its applicable procedure bylaw, provide for the designation of a councillor as a member responsible for acting in the place of the mayor when the mayor is absent or otherwise unable to attend, when the office of the mayor is vacant. And the council procedure bylaw under section 10 addresses the designation of a member. In November of each year, council must, from amongst its members, designate the council to serve and how you're going to do your rotation schedule. So we need to do that this evening.
We usually do this 3 months at a time. And I see you've done that month by month, so.
Well, you can, so what you could do then is you could say, just as an example, Councilor Hay, January, February, March, or we could just on a quarterly basis bring the schedule back.
I'll do January, February, March.
So
Since there's
Councillor
only
Hay-
4 of us,
Only 3 of us.
what about Councillor Leach? Oh, yes, of course. Sorry,
Number 3.
my bad.
We'll leave the last 3 months, whoever, that's the new council.
So Councillor Hay has volunteered to do from January to March. Do you have a preference which 4 months you would, or 3 months you would like to do, Lillian?
I would prefer, oops. Come on. Sorry about that. I would prefer to do July, August, and September if at all possible.
It's yours.
Thank you.
So we'll tentatively schedule Robert in from April to June.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Do we need a motion?
Yeah.
So could I get a motion to appoint the acting mayor schedule?
Councilor Hay,
I'll make that.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Now you can return to
Right.
section 11.
Okay, so Then the leadership policy and recovery select committee will also need a new chair. And we will be having a town hall on January the 13th.
Does January the 13th work for the council?
Does January the 13th work for council? I don't actually ask, you should, we just say. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we have no new business. So we go on to the calendar of events. The Citizens Advisory Committee meeting on December the 15th, we'll need to pick a new chair. And we've now adopted the council scheduled meeting. Okay, so with that, we will be going into a closed meeting, but there are some items that need to be released from the closed session. And
Mayor,
that
I had a
is-
question about taxes that I wanted to ask staff.
Okay. We're back to 10-4, yes, go ahead.
Did we request a minister's order to write off the taxes?
Did we?
Go ahead.
Thank you, your worship. Councillor Gray, no, we did not. We did have numerous discussions with the various ministries, including the Minister of Finance, and we were told in a very stern way that that was not an option, and that was that.
That's it?
Well, I mean, the commentary from the ADM was that the village is a going concern. You have a mayor and council. You're in business of running the village, and that they would not accept an argument to write off taxes.
That's just, I find it weird because right on the BC government website, there's actually a page that talks about writing off tax.
We can't hear
I
you,
don't-
Councillor Gray.
I said that there is a page on the BC government website about writing off taxes that explains exactly how to do this for this very reason. So why would they say that we can't do it? I've just sent the link to Nikki if she could pull that up, or Jasmine, whoever has access.
Yeah, I'm aware of the page and the information that's on the page, and obviously the government was aware that this was being contemplated by the council and mayor, and like I said, I'm not privy to their inner workings of their decision-making process, but they couldn't have told me in more explicit terms. It's just, this was not on.
I see. Thank you.
Thank you.
So on number 13, the Citizens Advisory Committee meeting for December the 15th, it needs a chair. Do I have someone that would like to chair the meeting?
Counselor A here, I went in as the alternate, so I'll sit in and do that meeting, but I'm gonna have to, for anybody that's on that committee that is here tonight, I will probably be phoning you, because I'm gonna be like a left hand and a right glove going to that. So I'll chair that one meeting. Can we appoint or elect a new chair? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. So so then we're on to our closed meeting, and the items to be released from the closed session It was moved by Mayor Polderman and seconded by Councillor Leach that the following items be removed from the closed session. It was moved by Councillor Hayes, seconded by Councillor Leach, that the council approves the service provider agreements between the corporation of the Village of Lytton and the recovery manager, Allison Post, the director of development, Ron Dickinson, policy liaison officer, Ron Matusi.
Ron Matuzzi, sorry, we have to change the title. That would be for his approving officer position for the municipal. government.
Okay,
Yeah.
the approving officer position. And the corporate rebuilding lead, Shannon Story, and the acting chief administrative officer, Leslie Giroux. And that the sum of $1,250 be expended from the general government insurance budget for the 2021 to cover these costs. And that was to be released. Yeah, so, well, that is,
That's
yes.
Counselor Hay, I move the council close the meeting to the public to discuss matters related to community charter section 91A and C, personnel matters related to community charter section 91K, negotiations and related discussions respecting municipal service.
So I'd like to thank the public for joining the meeting.